You wouldn't have a story if. Have you ever talked with a friend about a story or a movie and you point out this one scene that is really dumb and your friend comes back at you with, well, you wouldn't have a story if. What they more or less are saying is that the entire concept of the story is hanging on the hinges of one little thing. Is this a bad thing? Not at all. I mean, think about it. You wouldn't have Scream if there were no serial murders, for example. So why do I bring this up? Well, let's look at a contrast example, Lord of the Rings. Now, this story hardly needs a big introduction. Frodo gets a ring and he needs to travel from one place to the other to destroy the ring in an active volcano. Now, spoiler alert by the way, at the end of the movie, Frodo and his fat friend Sam are both saved by giant flying birds.
Everybody shut the fuck up! Gandalf! Why the fuck didn't you just give the Ring of Power to your eagle friend and let him drop it in the caverns of Mount Doom?
Here is the million-dollar question. Why did they not just use the birds to travel from A to B in the first place? This has been an issue on fans' and critics' minds for quite some time, and the less literate of them cling to the explanation we are addressing today. Well, you wouldn't have a story if they did that. Now, is that a valid reason? The short answer is no. The longer answer is, if your story is based around the notion that someone wouldn't do a certain thing to accomplish something simply because you wouldn't have a story otherwise, then the mere premise and plot are already here not handled all too well. Here is a personal dilemma, and if you frequent my homepage, you've already seen me make a video about things I don't like about Naruto. One of the main issues is that Naruto's reason for wanting to save Sasuke are weak at best, and it is something the entire story is based upon. Pointing this out to people, they too often choose to say, well, you wouldn't have a series if Naruto didn't get a boy crush on Sasuke. Wouldn't you? You got the entire universe, a shit ton of characters, and a lot of things that could drive the plot in a different direction. So here you would have a story, and heck, it might even be a better one. So now we've had a book and a TV series. So let's take a look at a video game. BioShock 2 will serve as an example this time. In the game, you play as Delta, a big daddy who gets forced to shoot himself in the head and is then later tasked to save this one girl who is kidnapped. Already from the get-go, I was not fond of this. Throughout the game, you're told that you'll be given freedom if you do this and that, but instead you fight to save the girl. Why? It is first later you find out her importance to you. So, in the beginning, why doesn't Delta just shrug off the fact that he just managed to come back from the dead, walk outside and just keep walking till he reaches shore, or at least make a half-assed attempt on a more serious escape? BioShock 1, however, did this great. You survive a plane crash, and to prevent drowning, you swim to a lighthouse. One step takes the other, and before you know it, you're in Rapture. Shit, the only reason why you're there and haven't hightailed your way out is because the only way of escaping is to go deeper into Rapture. Authors, when writing their stories, should exercise caution and return to the beginning every now and then, go it through and ask themselves whether or not the situation is plausible and, not least, believable, and not just forced in there because if not, you wouldn't have a story. It is just not a valid excuse. If anything, it's lazy. This has been a Riser's Author School segment to help you write out your story with a little more skill.